I've come to realize that husband bashing is popular again, and it's everywhere. I thought we got over that in the 70s or 80s. I probably have to give this caveat, but if your husband is abusive, this video is not about that. That's a different conversation, but this video is not it, okay? And if you're complaining about your boyfriend or your fiance, and by that you mean that dude you're sleeping with and probably living with, but actually just have some kind of indefinite timeline over which you may or may not actually make it legal, I'm not talking about that either. You go do your thing. I'm talking about wives publicly trashing their decent husbands, and usually with kids involved. This past year or two, my social media feeds, particularly Instagram, have been filled to the brim with women complaining about what their husbands do or do not do, and how their husbands displease them, and how their husbands don't live up to their expectations. And it's exhausting. Not the problems themselves, but the complaining. Yesterday, I saw a video. I don't follow this creator or know anything about him or his general platform, but I will say this, he seemed genuinely trying to do a good thing. And I don't think he's being a pick-me. I think he's trying to understand something, but the logic completely collapses. Watch this.
So I'm convinced every woman's love language is not having to ask. Women just want you to just know things, right? Pay attention, listen to them, just so things become more common sense for you as a man. And that way they don't have to ask for anything. It's really simple.
Here's the important part. I don't think he's wrong about what many women say they want. A lot of women do say they want their husbands to just know. But wanting something doesn't make it reasonable, and it doesn't make it sustainable or fair or good. Maybe what he's describing sounds romantic. They just get me. But in practice, it creates resentment, confusion, and constant disappointment. The first problem is that women want men to read their minds. And before you clap back at me, yes, they do. They don't want to explicitly say what they want or need and take accountability for that. They want men to magically know, to do what they want them to do because it just occurred to them in their magical brains and it materialized there, and that they then inherently just want to do the thing that happens to be the thing that the women want. Magical thinking is believing that a loving partner should arrive at your preferences without you having to articulate them, and then execute them brilliantly. Not just notice, not just try, but land exactly where you wanted them to land. That is not emotional intelligence or emotional maturity, a buzzword that makes me cringe. It is fantasy. And before someone jumps in, yes, men should pay attention. So should women. But paying attention is not the same thing as mind reading. Many women just don't want to explicitly say what they want because that would mean taking responsibility for what they want. So instead they hint and they hope and they wish and they navigate peripherally around the thing that they want, expecting the man to correctly interpret the indirect incoming stimulus. And then they're furious when their husband doesn't magically intuit the timing, the method, and the exact emotional tone they had in mind. Look, if you feel so unsure or insecure about what you want that you won't say it out loud, that's not your husband's failure. That's yours. And no, it's not the patriarchy. You're an adult. You can think, you can speak, you can communicate. If you want magical outcomes, own that. But then you also have to own the frustration that comes from being married to someone who is not clairvoyant. There's another layer here that almost never gets addressed. Many women believe that if their husbands were only conscientious enough, if they listened enough, if they paid attention enough, they would arrive at the same conclusions the wife does. It's as if her preferences are actually universally common sense for the video, but they're not. I'm going to give you a very trivial example, and I know it's trivial. In this house, I want the bath towels in the master bath folded in thirds. I just think it looks better. 2 houses ago, I wanted them folded in half. Both were just my preferences. Neither was a moral law of the universe. And although I won't take time to tell you, yes, I had reasons for my preferences, but that still doesn't make them some kind of common sense law. Yet this is exactly the level at which so many marital complaints actually live. Opinions and preferences and priorities of the wife are framed as obvious failures in the husband when his opinions and preferences and priorities are unique to him, because he's a unique individual with a mind and thoughts and preferences of his own. If something is truly a common sense fact, you'll see it done the same way across households and cultures. And when you don't, it means you're not talking about right versus wrong. You're talking about preference versus assumption. Of course, a husband can and often should accommodate his wife's preferences and opinions and priorities. But that should be a cooperative exercise. Not a unilateral demand from one person on the other. Uniformity is not a reasonable silent test of your husband's love. Marriage is not a pop quiz. Well, at least not a good marriage. So here's the bottom line. If you want a rational, peaceful, loving, good marriage, you cannot expect mind reading in the name of love. So I want to know, do you think expecting your spouse to just know is reasonable? Or does it quietly set up marriage for resentment? Tell me what you think in the comments, especially if you are married. Thanks for letting me get this off my chest. I hope you'll subscribe and hang around, and I hope you help create a truly wonderful marriage.